They told you Africa had no kings, no history, no wealth. Just jungles, deserts, and colonized silence. But what if I told you that the richest man to ever walk the face of the earth wasn't a European emperor, a Silicon Valley tycoon, or an oil sheik? He was a black king from 14th century West Africa, and his generosity was so extreme, it wrecked the economy of an entire nation. Not by war, not by conquest, but by giving. This is the forgotten empire of Mali, and the legendary titan who ruled it, Mansa Musa, the man who turned gold into myth and myth into power. You've heard the names Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan. But why haven't you heard of Mansa Musa? Because his story didn't fit the colonial script. His empire wasn't barbaric or backward. It was structured, spiritual, and stunningly wealthy. And Mansa Musa, its ruler, didn't just build cities, he built civilization. In 1312, while Europe was reeling from the Crusades and medieval plagues, Musa rose to power in Mali. Not through inheritance, not through battle. The emperor before him, Abu Bakr II, sailed into the Atlantic in search of the unknown and never returned. Musa, his appointed deputy, ascended the throne, and what followed was nothing short of a renaissance in the sands of West Africa. Picture this: an empire stretching across modern-day Mali, Senegal, Gambia, Guinea, and parts of Nigeria. An empire that controlled more than half the world's gold supply. Where gold was so abundant, it wasn't seen as luxury. It was currency, culture, and power. But gold wasn't Mali's only treasure. It held salt, knowledge, trade, justice, and above all, vision. Mansa Musa understood something few rulers ever do. Power isn't just taken by force. It's built through wisdom, wealth, and wonder. Then came the moment that made Mansa Musa a legend. The year was 1324, and he decided to go on Hajj, the sacred Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca. But Musa didn't travel like a humble worshiper. He moved like a celestial force. Imagine a caravan of 60,000 people, 12,000 servants, each carrying a gold bar, 100 camels, each loaded with over 300 pounds of pure gold, silk robes, horses adorned in gold. Cities came to a halt just to watch them pass. And when he reached Cairo, he gave so much gold to the poor that the city's economy collapsed. Inflation lasted a decade. His charity was so overwhelming, it disrupted global markets. He didn't wage war, he didn't invade. He simply gave. And in doing so, the world was forced to pay attention. But Musa didn't just drop gold and vanish. He was planting seeds. Along his journey, he met architects, scholars, poets, and philosophers. He brought them back to Mali. Not as trophies, but as builders of a new era. The heart of his vision was one city. Timbuktu, a name now whispered as myth, but once roared as reality. He transformed it into a beacon of scholarship and spirituality. He built the Jingareber Mosque, a marvel that still stands today. He funded madrasas, libraries, and learning centers. Thousands of ancient manuscripts on science, medicine, law, and literature were collected. Timbuktu became a lighthouse of learning while much of Europe was drowning in darkness. Musa's empire didn't just glow with wealth, it shimmered with wisdom. He ruled not with brutality, but with balance. He fortified trade, secured borders, and fostered peace between tribes and towns. He respected religious diversity, promoted education, and ensured justice for all under his reign. And that's what makes him greater than any tycoon of today. Because Mansa Musa understood this eternal truth. Gold fades, empires fall, but knowledge endures. By the time he returned from Mecca, his name echoed across continents. Arab historians wrote of his generosity. European mapmakers, stunned by tales of a golden kingdom, placed him on the Catalan Atlas, a 1375 map showing a regal black king seated on a throne, clutching a gold nugget. The inscription read, "This is the richest and most noble king in all the land. Let that sink in." In a time when Africa was deemed primitive by outsiders, a king from Mali was acknowledged as the wealthiest, most noble ruler of his age. Mansa Musa passed around 1337. His son took the throne, but couldn't sustain the vision. power fractured. Trade routes shifted. And slowly, the golden light of Mali began to dim. Yet the echo of Musa's legacy didn't fade. It lived in the mosques he built, the manuscripts he funded, and the myths that spread like wildfire across deserts and seas. He became more than a king. He became a symbol. Modern economists try to estimate his wealth in today's terms. Some say $400 billion. Others say it's impossible to measure because his wealth wasn't just numbers. It was a system, a civilization, an era of African excellence the world has long tried to forget. But Musa is not forgotten. His face appears in video games, documentaries, and digital art. His name is now used in classrooms to dismantle false narratives about Africa's past. And in Mali, his story lives on in the mud-brick mosques and sacred manuscripts of Timbuktu. Mansa Musa's story forces us to rethink everything we've been told. Africa wasn't waiting to be discovered. It was thriving. It had kings, scholars, architects, empires, and among them, one name rises above the rest: Mansa Musa, the man who gave away gold like sand and built a kingdom of brilliance in its place. So the next time someone asks, who was the richest person in history? Don't say Bezos, don't say Rockefeller. Say Mansa Musa, and say it with pride. Because true wealth isn't about what you keep, it's about what you give. And no one gave more than the king who made the world stop and remember Africa.